Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you state your name, please?
Jody Light.
And what is your profession, Jody?
I'm an entrepreneur.
All right. And what year did you start Rotary?
June of 1985.
And how did you get involved?
Well, I had moved back from Florida. I lived here when I was growing up.
Okay.
Was gone about 12 years, got into the hospitality industry. My father had a heart attack, moved back in the fall of 85, I believe it was. Anyway, it was a year or so later, Howard Hathaway actually approached me,
Okay.
a local insurance agent. I had insurance with him, and talked to me about Rotary. And at the time, I had a gift basket business, quite busy, and I really kind of put off because there is an attendance requirement.
Right.
So he probably worked on me for a good 6 months before I knew it had great values. I knew a lot of people in it, but it took me a while to make sure that my business was covered and I could make that attendance.
Right.
But, yeah.
So why did you stay with Rotary?
It's a passion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of civic organizations. I've been in everything from, and still am involved in some with Chamber and Burma and 4-H when I was a kid and all kinds of things. I don't know. There's just something that clicked. I think a lot of it, the people locally, I see what we're doing good in our community, and then you start seeing what we do in the world. And I guess my passion started, I kind of moved up and was club president. You see other opportunities beyond your local community.
Yeah.
And then started moving up, being membership chair for the district. You see more and more, and it grows. And then
Right.
becoming district governor in 2009-10, it was very eye-opening.
So your experience as president, as district governor, did you notice any barriers or conversations that were different because you were a woman? And because Rotary was kind of still accepting women at that time. So
Actually, Rotary did not start accepting women until about 1987.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe, and that seems like a long time ago, but it seems very recent.
Right.
Mary Dean was the first female district governor in our district in 1999-2000,
Right.
I believe it was. And when she went to the worldwide training session, there were 23 female district governors that year
In the world.
in the world, and we've come a very long way.
Yeah.
When you go to these international training seminars, you're meeting with a lot of folks in the Middle East and places, and there is, I have to admit, the beauty of Rotary and maybe the passion that you don't feel this. You can go
Right.
to an international meeting, and I don't care if they're wearing a sari from India, or they're wearing something from Japan, or their traditional garb from Africa. We're Rotarians.
Yes.
And that's, I've been to many, many international meetings, and we're Rotarians, and you will be hugged and greeted and welcomed. I think male, female, or I think that's one of the unique, universal things about Rotary is we are all one.
Right. Right. And you're the Rotary Foundation chair, yes?
I am for our club, and
Yes.
I'm just becoming, just July 1st I was that several years ago, the district membership chair.
Okay. Okay. So how did you get involved with Rotary Foundation International?
That's interesting because Rotary Foundation, when you go to a lot of seminars, it's very dry. It's about asking for money, and
Right.
and a lot of the foundation chairs I had worked with, it was kind of dry. It wasn't the most exciting topic to discuss. The way I actually really got impassioned with it, I guess, is when I became district governor. I went on a national immunization day trip to India
Okay.
to immunize children against polio. And that was actually a crazy thing, it was when I was governor in December 10th, because I was governor between July 1st of 09 to June 30th of 10.
Okay.
Went to India, spent 10 days, and met some remarkable people in India that are doing remarkable things there. Rotary is so well respected, admired, and revered to be a Rotarian, and more so in other countries than it is the United States.
Yeah.
Had an opportunity to talk to a gentleman named Shaker Mehta, who's now a past Rotary director.
Okay.
Probably will be a president one of these days, I feel sure. But, we started just talking. And, there had been things done in the district before, and most of our district money that's given by members of the foundation was kind of sitting there. We
Okay.
would do a scholarship a year, which took a big chunk of it, but there wasn't any grants or anything being done. He introduced me to projects they're doing. Went to pediatric heart hospitals with children, and seeing the grants they were doing. And literally during that period, we talked a lot. We stayed in touch after I got home, and started doing our first major grant, and we've done several since. So you realize what the money that we give to the foundation has a rippling effect. And what we give can be matched by the foundation, can be matched by other districts,
Yeah.
and it just does phenomenal work. And that really, I was like, wow, we can really do great things with this money.
Yeah. What part of India were you in?
Several parts, actually. I've
Okay.
been there 3 times. Flew into Delhi, visited things there in Calcutta.
Okay.
The place where we did the immunizations was in a small remote town called Dunbad,
Okay.
up in Bihar province.
Okay. All right. Have you traveled anywhere else thanks to Rotary?
Well, some international conventions.
Yeah.
Went to, I don't know if you call Montreal International, but we did do the but Birmingham, England, and it was interesting. A fellow district governor, it was the year I was governor, our convention was in Birmingham, England. So we took a 2-week period, did everything online and hot wire and crazy things, and we started out, flew into Ireland, spent 2 days there, went to Paris for a couple days, we were in Amsterdam for a couple days. I got to see an exchange student that was here through another program while we were in Amsterdam. Went to Scotland, which at the time our Rotary president was from Scotland.
Okay.
So we spent a couple days there, trained down to Birmingham for the convention, spent several days there, and then ended up a couple days in London. So it filled up about a 2-week European tour during that, and it was magical. I hope to do that again, but got to meet just an amazing new group of Rotarians, that many that I'm still in contact with.
Good. Good. So you mentioned earlier about a group student exchange that you did with some other Rotary clubs in the area. Tell me more about that.
One of the past programs, again, funded by the foundation, was called Group Study Exchange. And what would happen is, as you became in the year's training with to be a governor, you would meet at these training sessions. You meet a lot of fellow governors from all over the world. And you just develop relationships like you do in your local Rotary Club, just on a different level in a different country.
Right.
So the concept was there was money that came from funding through the Rotary Foundation, and your district, here we would be in West Virginia, would partner, so to speak, with a district anywhere in the world. It would not be United States to United States. It would always be international.
Right.
So if you'd made those connections, you could actually put together usually 4 to 6. It had to be led by a Rotarian. The other members of that group were non-Rotarians, such as yourself, young professionals. They really looked for that. And what it was a cultural as well as a vocational exchange.
Okay.
So we would in turn, in the year I was governor, it was Puerto Rico. We sent a Rotarian leader from here that we interviewed and selected, had a committee to do that, as well as the committee members, or the team members, should say. So they went and spent a month. Usually it's about a 4 to 5 week period. They spent a month in Puerto Rico, going from club to club, district to district, mostly within the district, but club to club. They visited clubs. What they tried to do is take a person's profession and get them involved in a club or an activity while they were there. Usually they would be in a town 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 days. And then the same would happen at the same time, or not usually at the exact same time, but they sent a team from Puerto Rico here. So they were all over our district in probably half a dozen or so different clubs, including here. And, we took them to see the sites, and they got to meet, they went to the college, they went to the hospital. And, we tried to look at the vocations they came from and partner them at least for a part of a day or so they could learn. You'd be surprised just in the medical field, the differences you may find just in Puerto Rico, how they do things there versus here and vice versa. So it was a good learning experience. And most of those people developed lifelong friendships. A lot of them are still in touch.
Great. So you also play a big part in the Almost Heaven Barbecue Bash and the Vera Bradley Bingos. When did that start?
Actually, I had this crazy idea, and it really was crazy, several years ago to do something. We have property in Florida, so I'm down there like, barbecue is so big in the South.
Yeah.
And you would think it is here. And we really don't have barbecue restaurants. So I looked at that idea several years ago, and it just kind of, one of those you put on the shelf, and you bring it back out. A couple years ago, a lady in Australia started a program to help the Polio Plus program. And she called it World's Greatest Meal to End Polio. And had the little acronym. And they were encouraging clubs and districts to do just about anything, from selling, maybe doing celebrity waiter things at a restaurant, to having a meal for donations or whatever, and the money would go to polio. So it just kind of caught my interest. I said, this is the time that we could maybe pull this off, and that's what we did. So we kind of based everything on trying to raise money for polio, bring awareness. Both years, this year and last year, we've given out Polio Plus pens to end polio now. We've had literature. We've given some money. We're still waiting to get the last couple invoices this year to see what we can send in.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, that was the impetus to put it together. It was something we could bring our Rotary Club in. We do a great job with the blood screening, and we do some other things, but I think there's young folks that, like yourself, who would enjoy doing something new and different and fun,
Right.
and it's still Rotary based, but kind of got our name out there. It really got Rotary's name in a lot of places that we wouldn't have had that opportunity to do.
I noticed that a lot of the competitors were from Florida. Did you get those connections? Or?
Yes and, well, actually yes and no. We the last 2 years, and we'll continue that this year, is we traveled to a lot of different events. 3 or 4 last year, 3 or 4 this year. I mean, obviously, we're in West Virginia. No one had heard about this event. It was brand new. So we felt we needed to go out and do a little recruiting. Maybe some arm twisting. But, the fact that we have this title, I guess you could say, it's called Auto to the Jack. If they win here, they get the $2,500, which is not bad for the top prize. But they also get an automatic entry into the Jack Daniel's Worldwide Invitational Barbecue Tournament. And they'd represent West Virginia. They only invite one per state.
Yeah.
So we did go around, and we did bring some folks in from different areas, and Florida was one of them. I met the folks in Florida at a competition.
Okay.
And talked to them, gave them information. Actually, just this morning I was talking to a gentleman in Claremont, Florida, right outside of Orlando, who actually came up week before last and drove 15 hours, took food out of his restaurant there to help feed the flood victims in southern West Virginia.
Oh, wow.
And so he's seriously toying with coming up to compete next year.
Good.
It's another one of those wonderful networking type things that all blends. And believe it or not, there's a lot of Rotary clubs. I did a lot of research across the country that do competition barbecue events. It's their big fundraiser. It's their big fun thing. So I talked to probably half a dozen from Kansas, Southern. I deal regularly with one in Apex, North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah.
So, to kind of, see what we can do and partner together.
Great. So you mentioned that when you first started out in Rotary, that it was difficult to really, find the commitment, to be there every week and to be at all the events. So how did you find your balance between Rotary and your profession?
You're going to laugh, but God love my mom and dad.
Okay.
My mother made a commitment, she or my dad, that once I decided I was going to join Rotary and got involved, they came to my shop every Tuesday and spent that hour in my shop, so I didn't have to close it, because lunch hours for a lot of people shopping.
Right.
I mean, they're out, and that was usually a busy time. So they made the commitment, and they came down until things changed somewhat, and they came down. And later on, I felt like I could close, and I had employees, but when I was starting out, I really didn't, because I just moved back here and opened the shop. I was pretty much on my own. But yeah, I'm thankful that both of them realized the importance of Rotary, and they've kind of supported me all the way along. So they come in, it was like clockwork. They'd come in at a little before noon to sit and mind the business while I was gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your favorite experience or your favorite thing about Rotary? If you could choose just one.
That's tough. I think probably my favorite thing is not travel for travel's sake. The immunization days that I did in Dunbad will transform you. When you see how other people live, and we talk about poor in West Virginia or poor in the United States, we don't have any idea what poor really is until we go to an India or a place like that. And I'm sure it's in other countries as well. But I think one of my favorite things is the worldwide aspect of Rotary.
Yeah.
And I miss getting out. I hope to get out more again. I've missed some of those meetings I've enjoyed. But meeting people and kind of just sitting down over a cup of coffee and talking about our dinner and talking about how do you do this there. That's how I found grants that we've done for so many things. And one of the things I'm probably most proud of is, as a governor and beyond that in foundation, it's pretty normal. The norm is you do a grant and you help a third world country. So the United States, we would take our money and help India, and we've done cleft palate surgeries in Colombia. We've done.
Okay.
Yep. That was a governor that I met, a female governor. I met her at my international training, and she said, we had this situation, and we helped 17 children. I have pictures and little notes from them. I just cried when she gave me all that after it was done.
Yeah.
But I always thought cleft palate was just a cosmetic thing. These kids can't eat.
Right.
One of them spent 6 months with a Rotarian family in Colombia to gain enough weight to survive the surgery, to have the cleft palate surgery. And we helped do that.
Yeah.
But we put water in St. Martin and chairs and and deaths and things in place in India. But to be able to see what we can do through these grants for other countries. But the coolest thing was after we did the first two major grants, and they were substantial amounts of money, 10, 20,000 from here,
Right.
partnered with other countries, partnered then with the Rotary Foundation. One of the one of the things as a governor and a foundation chair you hear is, okay, that's great that we did that, but what's in it for us? And that's an understandable thing. You know, okay, we sent money to India, we sent money to Brazil and Colombia. What about Buckhannon? What about, you know, Morgantown or wherever? And
Right.
that's perfectly understandable.
Mhm.
So the governor at the time, I was a foundation chair after that, and the governor at the time said, let's find something we can do here. And the Mountaineer Food Bank down in Gassaway serves, I think, all but 4 or 5 counties in West Virginia with food.
Okay.
They are the major food bank. They bring food into Buckhannon, to the parish house, and to different
Oh,
places.
okay.
That's where they get their food.
Okay.
So we knew there was a need there, and we met with them. I've been through their facility several times, but they have a lot of need there.
Yeah.
So I know it was crazy, but I went back to that first gentleman I met, Shaker Mehta,
Yeah.
in Calcutta, and I said, I know, and I literally Facebook messaged him because we stayed in touch.
Okay.
And I said, I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but we've done a couple grants with India for pediatric heart surgeries.
Mhm.
Is it crazy to even consider getting a grant to help our food bank here?
Yeah.
And literally in the matter of 2 or 3 minutes, we conversed back and forth, and I said, here's the situation. It serves all these counties. We're in rural West Virginia. There is a poverty situation, and there are people that are hungry.
Yeah.
I know it's not like India, but we still have our own level of
Right.
need. And I said, do you suppose we could, I know it's crazy because it usually goes the other direction. He said, how much do you want? I figured we might get a couple $1,000s. And I said, well, we'd like to do a total of 10,000. And he wrote me back, done. That's how that grant happened. So
That's
for
awesome.
2 years in a row, we did a major grant through the Rotary Foundation
Mhm.
with India, and they gave us 10,000 one year, 12,500 the next year. Our district matched it. The Rotary Foundation matched it, and we did a 40,000 grant the first year, a $50,000 grant the second year for the Mountaineer Food Bank.
Amazing.
And what we did, we asked them, what do you need? They get donations of food. So we basically, the first year it was $20,000 in actual food product we bought.
Mhm.
The other 20,000 helped them with fuel because they have trucks running.
Yeah.
They have to have trucks go pick up. They have to have trucks deliver, and they can't get anyone to donate or help them with that. And that's about what it takes for about a 30-day period. It's a huge fuel bill. So the second year we did the 50,000, and we did the same thing, and we actually paid their statement with government oil with half of that and bought food with the other. So to me, that's probably, if I said, what was your biggest accomplishment? You know, going on these immunization days and seeing what we're doing, what we're really doing out there curing polio, and watching these people drag their legs around. I watched actual polio surgeries. Stood there beside someone closer than you and I are while
Yeah.
they were, you know, cutting their tendons in their leg and helping them walk. And that's things that, those are Rotary surgeons that are donating their time.
That's great.
So, you know, helping the Mountaineer Food Bank and saying, yeah, you know, your Rotary money does help overseas, but it helped right here in West Virginia. To me, that was a blessing on both sides. And hopefully we can do that again sometime.
Mhm. Great. And so you're a Paul Harris Fellow, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
multiple. Mhm.
Multiple Paul Harris Fellow. And do you remember how many people you've sponsored, or just?
You
Or a
know,
couple
I was thinking
names?
about that earlier, probably a half a dozen.
Okay.
Dave and Sue Long, several
Yeah.
years ago, were folks that I sponsored and hopefully mentored some.
Uh-huh.
More recently, Deanna Graw,
Yeah.
and you know, she's going to be one of our treasurers now, which is great. Kay Hurst, who's our secretary, sponsored her. Proud of all these folks. Andrew Feliciano, a new younger Rotarian who I think he's very excited about Rotary. I think he's going to move up in the ranks. If he doesn't move away too soon, but we hope we can keep him here.
Yeah.
But I know at least a half dozen. I have to think back on that. But you know, I take that task to sponsor someone really seriously because I feel it's a reflection of me. And I've had a couple that maybe haven't been the best attendees and
Right.
hasn't panned out. But you know, I really try to let them know that it's just because they join, the task isn't over if you sponsor someone.
Right.
It's your job to mentor them, let them know about Rotary, and keep them engaged. And sometimes we don't do that. The worst thing you can do, and we've done that before, and it hasn't worked out, is people just, well, I'm going to propose X, Y, Z, and they never come to a meeting. They become a member, and they don't have any idea what Rotary is about. And like I tell them, you need to come 2 or 3 times, see if it's a good fit for you. Do you like the people there? Do you feel comfortable there? And if it doesn't, it's no harm, no foul. No hurt feelings, because maybe another organization fits their personality and who they are better, and that's okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's okay.
Do you have any other memories or experiences that you like to share about Rotary?
Wow.
Sorry.
No. I think, like I said, I think those international things, the national immunization days with polio were just life changing. If it hadn't been for Rotary, I wouldn't have had probably the desire nor the ability to partner with and make those extraordinary adventures. And they are adventures. People say, "Oh, you had a vacation in India." That's not what I would call a vacation.
Right.
It's heartbreaking, but it's a blessing. It's kind of a double-edged sword to see where these people are, but where we can help them go. So I think meeting the folks, and I miss doing some of that because I am kind of a little more tied down professionally at this point. But to me, that's probably one of the. And of course, having been inducted, as I was off on the international convention, came back to be inducted into being the district governor, and we had all that planned out, and they surprised me and had Governor Manson's, now Senator Manson's wife, actually induct me, and the senator at the time, he was governor then, was going to do that, but he had to be, imagine that, at the White House for a governor's conference. So it was kind of a great thing to see all the folks you're going to work with, and it was a great teamwork. So I've enjoyed it thoroughly and hope to be in it for several more years.
Great. What advice do you have for anyone interested in becoming a Rotarian?
I think the best thing they can do is keep their eyes open and their heart open. Come to 2 or 3 meetings, and if you feel you need to come to 2 or 3 more before you make that commitment, I think that's important.
Right.
I think we would be much happier to pick up your meal tab for 3 or 4 meetings, and if you don't feel as comfortable, don't feel an obligation to it doesn't matter what group it is, whether it's Rotary or another group. Don't feel obligated because you came as a guest 2 or 3 times if it's not a good fit for you.
Right.
But I think open your eyes. It's way more than Buckhannon. It's we have a district. We have meetings there. We need to re-energize that. There's so much you can learn online, but there's just a lot of things out there to learn and do.
All right. So I know that you're very involved in Rotary, and I really admire your work that you've done, not even just in Buckhannon, but across the world. Thanks. What do you do in your free time?
Let's see, from 2 to 4 a.m. at night. No. Well, the barbecue bash has become kind of a passion because I never dreamed in a million years, having thought of that idea 4 or 5 years ago, that it would ever come to fruition, number one. Number two, we didn't even plan the thing until I didn't tell anybody about till the end of January. We told a few select board members last year. We really didn't roll it out till February 25th of last year. That's a pretty tight window. In fact, most people said, "Oh, you're doing that next year." Yeah. And it's just been rewarding to see the number of people, and it's grown to where we're almost outgrown where we're at because we just can't really expand.
Right.
But boy, that's just a fun thing to do, and to see. I just never dreamed people would stand in line as long as they did to get good barbecue.
Yeah.
It's obvious. Well, people love to eat. I'm a good product of that. But it's it's a good thing, and I'm glad that we were able to get the word. I mean, because people just everyone's like, "Oh, the Rotary Club's doing this, and the Rotary Club's doing it." And of course, the blood screening is awfully rewarding here locally. I mean, golly, we've found numerous people that have discovered they have cancer. They have not as much cancer but other diabetes and different things, prostate cancer. Well, I guess so. It is cancer. A lot of things that we've gotten thank you notes back saying if it hadn't been for this, they didn't want to go to a doctor. But if it hadn't been for this, we indirectly saved some lives, and right here in our little community, which is an important thing, I think.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Jody. I really appreciate it.
Sorry for holding you up so long.
That's okay.